Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place you come to sift through fascinating material, really unearthing those nuggets that help you feel truly well-informed.
That's right.
Today we're delving into a really exciting case study out of Japan. It's a fantastic example of merging, traditional farming with some very innovative natural solutions.
Yeah, we'll be exploring this collaborative project. It's focused on fig cultivation in Kinokawa City, Japan. And the really surprising part is the impact of this natural soil additive called Hinai Green.
Hinai Green, okay.
Our mission really is to understand how this seemingly simple approach led to such impressive results. And, what that might actually mean for the future of agriculture.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story starts in Kinokawa City. That's in Wakayama Prefecture.
Yeah.
Now, this is a place known for its rich land, really mild climate, just ideal for farming.
A real agricultural hub.
Exactly. It's a hub for fruit production: peaches, persimmons, strawberries, kiwis, figs, Hasaku oranges, some of Japan's highest yields, actually.
Wow.
And not just fruit. They've got strong production of vegetables, too, like onions and eggplants, and they're #1 in Japan for leaf button flower production.
That's quite a portfolio.
It is. And geographically, you've got the Izumi Mountains north, Ki Mountains south, and the Kinokawa River running right through it. Fertile ground, literally.
Absolutely. And when you have an environment like that, so focused on agriculture, it just naturally becomes a place for, new ideas. You see these collaborations popping up between the local government, universities, farmers. It makes perfect sense.
Right. And this is where it gets really interesting. We meet Yasutaka Shintoku. He's a fig farmer, relatively new to it actually, retired from a company job about 4 years ago, took over his father's fig farm back in 2016.
Okay.
His motto is solo farming, and he seems really keen on using new tech to simplify things, make tasks more efficient.
The practical side.
Definitely. He even got a drone license, uses it for spraying pesticides on rice paddies, not just his own, but for others across the city too.
So he's embracing technology, focused on efficiency. That makes him, an ideal candidate for trying something new, right?
Exactly. The perfect kind of partner for an experimental project like this.
Especially as a solo farmer, looking for practical wins.
So let's talk about the Hinai Green. What exactly is it? Our sources describe it as a natural stone, sourced straight from the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And importantly, it's distinctly different from your typical pesticides or, chemical fertilizers.
Right. And that natural origin is actually quite significant here.
Mm-hmm.
It seems the Kinokawa City office found it much easier to talk to farmers like Shintoku about trying Hinai Green because it's just a natural stone.
Ah, interesting. Less perceived risk.
Precisely. It wasn't expected to have negative impacts, so that barrier to entry was lower. It really makes you think, doesn't it? How the perception of a product influences whether a farmer will even give it a shot.
That's such a crucial point. Trust and perceived risk are huge in adoption, so natural stone probably sounded much less intimidating. And it clearly worked with Shintoku. It speaks to his pragmatic approach, this willingness to try things. Which brings us to the collaboration itself. It was quite unique. 4 parties involved.
Yeah, quite a team.
You had Tenwata Green Tough Agroscience. That's the company behind Hinai Green. Then the Kinokawa City office, Kindai University's Bioresearch Department, and of course, Shintoku Farm.
A real mix. Public, private, academic, farmer.
Exactly. So the city approached Shintoku in February. He hadn't even heard of Hinai Green before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he basically said, can't know if it's good unless I try it. Simple as that.
Love that attitude.
Right. So the discussions between all 4 happened in March, and they kicked off the trial by the end of that month. Pretty quick turnaround.
And that setup really highlights the power of these kinds of partnerships, connecting the science, the local government support, the company providing the material, and the farmer on the ground actually doing the work.
It's how you bridge that gap between research and real-world application.
Absolutely. That's where the magic happens.
So Hinai Green had shown promise for vegetables, for rice. The big question was, could it work for fruit trees too?
Mm-hmm.
And they chose figs for this trial.
Which makes sense, given Shintoku's farm. And to really get why this matters, you need to understand a bit about growing figs from cuttings, or scions.
Right, the basics.
Yeah. These cuttings, they start out as just, sticks, basically. No leaves, no roots. So root development is absolutely critical right from the start. That's how the plant gets all its nutrients, how it anchors itself, everything.
Okay, so the core idea, the hypothesis was this. If Hinai Green boosts root growth in these fig scions, like it seemed to do in vegetables, then that should lead to bigger, faster-growing fig plants overall.
Makes logical sense. Better roots, better plant.
So how did they set up the actual experiment? They used fig branches Shintoku had pruned and stored the previous year.
Okay, got it. Using existing material.
Right. And the potting mix was akadama soil. That's a common volcanic soil in Japan mixed with compost.
Standard stuff.
Pretty standard. Now, for the treatment group, they mixed in 5% Hinai green. The specific size was 1 millimeter under, which they figured would mix well.
And 5%, how much is that practically?
That worked out to 500 grams of Hinai green for every 10 kilograms of the soil mix.
Okay, so a specific ratio.
Yes. And crucially, they had a control group too. Same soil mix, just without the Hinai green.
Essential for comparison.
Absolutely. And both groups, treated and control, got regular watering, standard care otherwise.
Okay, so the stage is set. What did they see happen over time?
Well, the first month, not much visible difference. Leaves started emerging from the buds on both groups. Pretty typical early growth.
Expected, yeah. Takes time.
But by month 2, things started changing. The fig leaves were getting bigger, and they noted a tendency, that's the word they used, a tendency for the plants grown in the Hinai green soil to have slightly larger leaves than the control group.
Okay, so the first hint of a difference.
Exactly, just a hint. But then fast forward to 5 months in, and the differences were, let's say, much more pronounced. Visibly larger plants in the Hinai green pots. More leaves, bigger leaves, taller plants compared to the control group.
Wow, so it really took off between month 2 and month 5.
It seems so. And then the final measurement came at 8 months during the winter after most leaves had dropped.
Right, measuring the actual woody growth.
Yes, the length of the new branches grown that season. For the control figs, the average branch length was 22 centimeters.
Okay, 22 centimeters.
But the figs grown with Hinai green, their average branch length was 28 centimeters.
28 centimeters versus 22 centimeters. That's quite a jump.
It really is. If you do the math, that's a 27% increase in branch length for the Hinai green group.
27%?
Yeah.
Just from adding 5% of this natural stone to the soil?
Just from that additive.
That is substantial. I mean, 27%, that's not a minor tweak. That indicates Hinai green significantly promoted the growth of those fig scions.
It certainly seems that way.
And think about what that means for a farmer. Stronger, faster growing young plants, that's a huge head start.
A 27% increase is definitely eye-catching. From a practical farming standpoint, what does longer branch growth actually signal? Is it just bigger plants or more?
Oh, it's definitely more than just size. Longer, stronger branches mean a more robust plant overall. Think about it. More surface area for leaves, potentially more nodes where figs can actually develop later on.
Ah, okay. More potential fruit sites.
Exactly. And faster growth generally means the plant reaches maturity quicker. So for a farmer like Shintoku, this could mean getting figs to harvest sooner, maybe even extending the harvest season or getting plants into production faster.
Which translates directly to potential income.
Absolutely. It's about optimizing the plant's potential right from the start, using something natural. It really challenges that idea that you always need heavy synthetic inputs for significant gains.
Okay, so these results are clearly promising. What's the next step for the trial? Where do they go from here?
Well, the plan now is to actually transplant these seedlings, move them out of the pots. And when they do that, they'll get a chance to really look at the roots.
Ah, to check the original hypothesis.
Precisely. To confirm if Hinai green really did promote better root development. That would help verify if the bigger branches and leaves they saw were a direct consequence of a healthier, more extensive root system.
So verifying that root effect would give them insight into the mechanism behind it all.
Exactly. You move beyond just seeing the result, the bigger plants, to understanding why it happened at a biological level.
Which is key for knowing if this could work for other things or how to best use it.
Yes, understanding the why is crucial for scientific rigor and for figuring out how broadly applicable this might be. It takes it from a single observation to potentially a wider principle.
And we actually heard from Yasutaka Shintoku himself about his experience. What did he say? He said, "I think the ones with Hinai green are growing bigger. I'm looking forward to the future test results."
That's pretty positive.
Yeah, and he added, "From now on, I want to use Hinai green for vegetables, not just the figs."
That's a strong endorsement right there. When the farmer sees the benefit and wants to expand its use, that says a lot.
It really does.
And his comments, along with the trial data, really point to the broader implications here, don't they? We're seeing real potential for natural, sustainable options in agriculture. This isn't just about figs in Kinokawa City. It's potentially a model.
A microcosm, maybe?
Exactly. It shows that maybe the path forward isn't always more complex chemicals, but sometimes it's about smartly using natural resources that are literally right there. Innovations like this can genuinely empower farmers, especially solo operators like Shintoku, boosting their efficiency and yield in an environmentally friendly way.
So wrapping this up, today we've taken a deep dive into how the simple, natural stone Hinai green really made a difference. Combined with that forward-thinking spirit from Yasutaka Shintoku and this really effective collaboration, it yielded impressive results. It's just a great example of how sometimes unexpected solutions pop up when you mix curiosity with commitment.
Yeah, the takeaway seems pretty clear. Sometimes the biggest steps forward don't come from complex chemistry, but from understanding and, leveraging the natural world that's already around us.
So, thinking about this deep dive, what stands out most to you, the listener? Maybe it's the simplicity of using a stone, or that significant 27% growth figure, or just the can-do attitude of the farmer.
Lots to chew on.
Definitely. And as you reflect, maybe consider this. How else could natural, locally sourced materials like this be explored and used in farming around the world? And what role do these kinds of partnerships, public, private, academic, farmer, play in speeding up these green innovations? Something to think about.